Hey guys, welcome to PhoneArena's in-depth video review of the Motorola i1, which is available right now through Sprint. It has a contract price of $149.99, and it's actually the first push-to-talk Android smartphone available in the market. So if you're looking for a rugged type of handset, this might be your solution. The i1 is definitely an appealing looking handset versus other rugged handsets out there. First of all, it's your normal slate form factor. It's a normal size, not that large or bulky. It's half an inch thick all around. We do like the choice of materials that they utilize. It has this soft touch coating all around to give it that really rugged feel. And on top of that, it's built to military specifications, so it's going to resist stuff like drops, humidity, and even extreme temperature changes. When you power on the handset for the very first time, you're going to be greeted to its 3.1-inch HVGA touchscreen display, which has a resolution of 320 by 480 and support for 262,000 colors. When you have the brightness set to its high setting right now, like we have it, the colors are very distinguishable, but text is a little bit on the smaller side. If you're going to be using it outdoors, thankfully it's pretty viewable, so you won't have any issues with that. At the bottom, you have your touch-sensitive buttons. There's enough spacing between the bottom touchscreen and them just to prevent any accidental presses. We do like the tactile send and end keys, as well as the D-pad, which has a solid press in the middle for selection. On the left-hand side, you have a nice size push-to-talk button. You have also the volume rocker, which is a little bit stiff to our taste. On the right side, you have your micro USB port for charging, your camera shutter key. This switch here locks and unlocks the back cover. On top, you have the 2.5mm headset jack, dedicated power button. On the back, you have the 5-megapixel autofocus camera with the LED flash. And when you remove the back cover, it gives you access to the SIM card slot, battery, and micro SD card slot. And one of the most unflattering parts about the i1 is the fact that it has Android 1.5 loaded instead of some newer offerings out there that provide Android 2.1. So it's a little bit behind the curve already in that regard. But just navigating between the three home screens, it looks pretty smooth, but we did notice some issues with lagginess or even slowdown when you have multiple programs running in the background. Now, if you're big on text messaging, you might want to look elsewhere just because the experience on the i1 is somewhat unsatisfying. First of all, you have to deal with the cramped confines with the keyboard, with the portrait one actually, but there's just this unresponsive feel to it. Granted though, when you switch to landscape, you're offered a little bit more room for your thumbs, but you still have those issues with lag and slowdown. You're going to need a lot of patience if you're going to be transmitting a lot of data over the IDEN network. That's why we probably recommend connecting it with Wi-Fi. The device comes preloaded with Opera Mini, which is a little bit better just because the load times were a lot less than the stock Android one, which took 5 minutes for our site to load up. Did a little better job on the Opera Mini. And of course it renders it pretty good, so it's a decent experience. It's kind of smooth, not the best out there, but it's more than adequate for most people. There's nothing really different about the stock Android music player that's on the i1, but we were really impressed about the speaker volume. It produced some rich tones and very powerful, and it didn't crackle when we set it to its highest setting. If you're going to be watching a lot of videos on the i1, you're going to be satisfied with the experience, especially with videos that are in lower resolution, like the one that we have, which is in 480 by 320. It plays really smooth, but when we loaded up one in 800 by 480, it had a tendency to be stuttery and also slow down. We were really impressed with the i1's image quality with its 5-megapixel camera, but only in outdoor conditions. All you gotta do to take a photo is just slightly press down the shutter key to focus and push it all the way down to take the shot. Images outdoors had plenty of detail and pretty good colors, but taking indoors with the flash, we did tend to notice the images still look a little bit hazy and the colors were a little bit washed out. You might want to look elsewhere if you're into taking a lot of videos. That's just because the i1 only shoots it in 352 by 288 resolution, so it's really pixelated, not detailed at all, and also shoots it at 15 frames per second, so you do notice a lot of jerky movements. Calling quality in the i1 was more than satisfactory thanks to the strong tones emitted by the earpiece. It made our callers' voices sound very clear and distinct. On our end though, there was some static noise to be heard, especially when we had it on the high setting, but when we put it down a couple notches, it just disappeared. We were really impressed though with the speakerphone quality. It produced some strong tones that made it very easy for us to hear our callers, and they were really natural too. When it came down to battery life, this is an always connected device, and we managed to get 10 hours of continuous normal usage with the handset. So for any heavy users out there, you might want to consider charging it as much as you can. And finally, signal strength with the device, we had a tendency to see it fluctuate during our usage, so it might have a little bit of issues depending on your area. So there are a few factors you want to consider before going out and buying this handset. First of all, what kind of coverage you're going to get with the IDEN network around your area, just because if you don't have that great of coverage, it just limits your ability to use the handset. Secondly, if you need something that has push-to-talk with Android, then this device is a perfect solution. And of course, if you want something that's also rugged, that could also withstand drops like that, the i1 is definitely going to be a suitable device for you. But when it's priced at $149.99 and has Android 1.5, it definitely shows its age over some of the newer offerings such as the HTC UFO 4G and upcoming Samsung Epic 4G. So if you'd like to learn more about this handset or for all the latest cell phone reviews, news, specs, and information, you can check us out at PhoneArena.com.